when we are charged to step before a group of students to hold the lectern, if you will, we are accepting responsibilities. If we honor our responsibilities in such a way that we stimulate thought, that we provide information, that we, in effect, educate young people, then I believe we are entitled to all the privileges of academic freedom. Should one turn the classroom into a political forum, it is unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Should one turn the classroom into a forum for agitation, I think it is unfortunate. Should one turn the classroom into a place to incite, if you will, mutiny or disrespect for an institution or for a people, I think it's unfortunate. And there, academic freedom ends if one abuses the privileges and responsibilities involved as a college teacher.
Well, then, as you define it, do you think a true spirit of academic freedom now reigns at Troy State College?
Now reigns at Troy State College? Within recent weeks, I would say no. Well, I did question him, as I say, about each of these charges, and I asked him point blank, to whom must I be loyal, you and or George Wallace? And Dr. Adams, after a little thought, said, well, me or both, if possible. And that's as far as we got in any given discussion about any one of these charges, these particular charges.
Why is it that more members of the student body and the faculty haven't spoken out about this issue?
Well, I think many faculty, well, I know that many faculty members have spoken out in private. I know that many students have spoken out in private. Now, on the other hand, take, for instance, the anonymity of a recent newspaper article. That anonymity was prompted, I believe, out of fear. Take the student petition, for instance. Some people have said, well, only 30% of the student body signed the student petition. But I don't know, there are countless students who were afraid to sign it, afraid of reprisals, afraid of repercussions. People are, I think, in many respects, afraid to express themselves.
Do you think, by your definition, that academic freedom exists now at Troy State College?
Seeing as how my contract has been withheld, I must assume that something is happening to create an oppressive atmosphere. And I would have to say no. No, I don't believe there is academic freedom at this moment.
No substantial evidence has been offered to me to indicate that this continued growth would be affected by any administration policy set today by the President. And until this evidence is brought forth to me, I'm in full accord with the policy and objectives of the present administration. And I might add, too, that as a student, I studied here at Troy State under two previous presidents. And I can say honestly that I have experienced a tremendous growth in Troy State College in the past 2 years under its president's leadership. So I think that, in fact, would speak for itself.
Mr. Severa, do you feel that there is any atmosphere of oppression of academic freedom at Troy State?
Well, in my own opinion, I have not experienced this type of atmosphere here at Troy. Now, I've talked to a number of other professors on this, and they have, again, have expressed the same opinion, that they have not experienced this type of atmosphere.
In the classroom, how do you feel Troy State's administration stands on academic freedom?
I think Troy State probably affords the professor one of the greatest amount of academic freedoms that at least I have experienced.
Do you think there is any fear on the part of members of the student body or faculty to speak out on this issue?
After all that's been said about this controversy, we might put it, I can't see how people would or could say that they were afraid to speak out, because plenty of people have spoken out, you see.
Like I say, voice it very strongly. We do oppose it because we don't need these intersections. And let me say that is far, and I'm sure everybody wants to know who is behind it, where this is coming from. I don't personally know. I couldn't call you a name. I've heard it said that it came from Governor Wallace, from the governor's office. But I'll assure you one thing of me personally, and I was with Governor Wallace at the Traffic Safety Conference recently, and I'm sure that Governor Wallace, or the past Governor Wallace, is not aware that such a construction or such a proposal is being made.
This project at Draper's, you know, is an experimental and demonstration project under the Manpower Development Training Act, and one of its major problems is helping accommodate the youngster who is in an institutional setting and make him understand and give him appreciation for what the needs of the employer is going to be, and it's very difficult to simulate in an institutional setting what the work setting is outside the gates.
How is this particular problem being handled on a national level?
Well, in many states, they have work release or partial parole laws where you can actually get the youngster in an on-the-job situation with an employer. And, of course, he spends the night in an appreciable part of his time in the institution. This has two very positive values. One, it helps persuade the employer that the youngster can be rehabilitated and that he can be made employable. And it also gives the youngster the real feel for what employment is like. You can teach him very well to be an automobile mechanic behind the prison walls, but to accommodate himself to working with other people and taking instructions from the foreman is very difficult to simulate.
It was quite disturbing at the time because we had anticipated quite a bit more federal funds being available, and the cutback made it necessary that we change some of our projects and postpone some of the larger jobs that were about ready at that time.
How much money did the state lose at this particular time?
Well, we actually did not lose any funds. It was a freezing or cutback of funds temporarily for a specific reason that we were given of combating the pressures of inflation.
How much money was involved?
The notice that we received indicated that Alabama would be limited to $68,685,000 for the 1967 federal fiscal year. We had anticipated around $132 million being available.
Three people lost their lives during the past weekend on the rural highways in Alabama. 91 people were injured, and your Alabama state troopers investigated 190 accidents. Today is the 22nd day of May, and 39 people have already been killed during this month. This is an average of almost 2 fatalities a day during the month of May. I believe if all of us would make up our mind today that we will not violate the traffic laws while we are driving, we would certainly see a reduction in the accidents, injuries, and fatalities on the rural highways in Alabama. Your cooperation will be appreciated.
Camping out is as old as our nation itself, and probably the primitive urge of America to move to the out of doors has its roots in our frontier past. But for thousands of Americans, camping is a new experience, and many families are discovering this new national pastime each year.
Well, to give you an illustration, we only started in chapter-type camping of this type in 1963. I could count up the number of fellow campers that I knew on one hand, but now I number the people I know in the thousands that I've met as a member of the National Campers and Hikers Association. So for no other reason, just the fact that we meet a lot of people and we're thrown in contact with a lot of people who have a similar interest is well worth it.
It's growing so fast in Alabama and all over the nation right now.
We can go to the adjoining state of Georgia and find practically more campsites in an individual park than we have in all of our parks in Alabama put together. And this is also true in Tennessee and Kentucky. We desperately need campsite and campground facilities in our state parks in Alabama. We've got the property or the land in our parks. All we need is the campsite areas.
More and more people each year are moving from the country to the cities. But on weekends and during vacation time, the movement is in the opposite direction. With more leisure time and more recreational areas available, more Americans are going to continue to sample the great out-of-doors. And camping enthusiasts agree that their family pastime is going to have thousands more followers in the years to come.
.471 is transferred to the retired reserves on 1 June 1967. Department of the Air Force. Headquarters, Air University, Maxwell Air Force Base, Alabama. By Special Order Number G26, dated 19 May 1967, Lieutenant Colonel Wilford L. Harris, FV 758451, is awarded the Second Oak Leaf Cluster to the Air Force Commendation Medal for meritorious service during the period 3 February 1964 to 31 May 1967.
Congratulations on the fine game out there tonight, and you're being picked as All-Star, and I know you're looking forward to the trip to Birmingham.
Yes, sir. I'm proud of it. I didn't know I'd make it, but I'm happy.
Ah.
I think you will find that in our total budget for the next fiscal year, which amounts to $64,853,000, that we have a fair balance between contributions by the students in the form of student fees, extra income that we have generated ourselves through gifts and grants, and from state appropriations. The momentum of the university must be maintained. We are on the verge of a breakthrough at the University of Alabama that will bring untold benefits to the young people and to the citizens of our state. To maintain our momentum, however, we must be aware of the competition that we face not only nationally but in states as close to us as our eastern neighbor, the state of Georgia.
What's the highest paid personnel in the university complex.
We have one very distinguished professor that we discussed today. I do not want to call his name publicly now. We pay him $50,000. He was getting $57,500 where he was. He was offered a great deal more than that to go to other places. But that's not an accurate picture either, because he returns all of his fees back to the university, and his fees will run many, many times more than the $50,000, so really it doesn't cost us anything.
Recognizing the great need for a graduate program specifically designed for junior college teachers, we at Auburn have developed within the last few months an interdepartmental program, the Master of Arts in College Teaching, which will be a cooperative effort of 10 subject matter departments in the university and our School of Education. We're ready to implement this program this year. The availability of even modest fellowship support will be a major factor in our attracting worthy students into this program, which we believe you will agree with us, offers great promise for helping provide the qualified teachers needed in our junior college program. In terms of the Tuskegee budget, the Alabama appropriation is 5% of our total budget of $13 million. It's a little over 11%, 11.6 of what we describe as the educational and general budget. These are the educational activities. Again, the Alabama appropriation is basic, and it is the vital factor in enabling Tuskegee to secure grants from other sources, primarily foundations and the federal government. The Alabama appropriation, to use an approximation, is the critical 10% of our budget.
Senator, I can't change and give them anything out of the Special Educational Trust Fund now, but I'll tell you this, and you can tell the President and the Board of Trustees of Tuskegee, when the regular session meets next year, I'll not only continue the appropriation, but I will give them a substantial increase. I asked him about it yesterday, and George said, I forgot it. Thank you. I hope you